Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC briefly, but first, really short disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be there in the description box. They also have nice little labels too, so that you know what you're clicking on, because you guys may not need that sort of thing, but I do. So if you want to do some deep diving on your own, or maybe even read along with us, you're absolutely welcome to do so. Trigger warnings. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use your headset. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Okay, where we left off. So, first, I'm going to read the paragraph. Then, as you've already seen, I've done a little bit more experimentation research through means of AI, and we're going to go over that. In other words, we're calling the JRC's bluff. So, here's what the paragraph reads. The banning statute confers no special grant of jurisdiction. Congress applied the well-established limits of FDA jurisdiction to the banning authority, which it said would apply to fraudulent or hazardous medical devices in commercial distribution. Thus, before the FDA can initiate a ban proceeding, it must find that the continued marketing of a medical device presents unreasonable and substantial risks. So, here's what I did, because that's a more logical, coherent argument than the one they put forward originally. And remember, I was asking, then why didn't they go with that argument in the first place? If that was actually true, what they were asserting, there wouldn't have needed to be an appeal. You know? Well, did a little digging. But we asked the AI, the JRC's GED device isn't sold commercially. Does that impact the FDA's authority to be able to ban it? Here's what the AI says. Based on the provided information, the fact that the JRC's GED device isn't sold commercially does not necessarily impact the FDA's authority to ban the device. So good, it must be fattening. Let's say it again. Based on the provided information, the fact that the JRC's GED device isn't sold commercially does not necessarily impact the FDA's authority to ban the device. Now, here's why it came to that conclusion. The FDA has the authority to ban a device intended for human use if it presents a substantial deception or an unreasonable and substantial risk of illness or injury that cannot be corrected through labeling. The FDA's decision to ban a device is based on its intended use and the risks it poses to human health. The Food and Drug Omnibus Reform Act of 2022 clarified that the FDA can't ban a device for specific intended uses. The proposed ban on the GED device would apply to devices already in... Sorry, let me go back here. I lost there we are. To devices already in use, as well as a future distribution and sales. While the banned device cannot be legally marketed, it can potentially be used in clinical studies under an investigational device exemption IDE if it meets the necessary requirements. So, the summary. The FDA's authority to ban the JRC's GED device is determined by its intended use, the risks it presents, not whether it's commercially available. So, it goes back to exactly what I said previously. Whether it is being mass-produced and sold or being lent out in other clinical studies, or whether it's not. It doesn't matter. Because it is a device that is currently being used that can and has been proven to. Let's go back to it where it says here. So, risk of illness or injury that cannot be corrected through labeling. That's the only criteria on whether the FDA has the authority to ban the device or not. It is literally what is the impact that this medical device could have on a human being. What are the positives? What are the negatives? Do the negatives outweigh the positives? Is there any other way to be able to obtain the positives in a way that doesn't use physical aversive therapy by means of a human shock collar? I think those are very easy to answer questions there, don't you? Hey, there are numerous different alternatives in regards to treatment for self-injurious behavior and aggressive behavior. Yes, JRC, quote unquote, extreme. Okay? There are other treatment programs out there to address those issues that have very long track records of working. You can't use percentage of success rate as an argument in favor of yourselves because no one treatment fits every single autistic on planet Earth. We are as different as night and day from one another. Even if you put me in a room with someone on the exact same part of the spectrum that I'm in, how that impacts us is still going to be night and day. So no, you're not going to have one program that's going to be 100% successful on all autistic people. You're not going to have one single type of treatment program that's going to be 100% successful for people with ADHD, people with mental health issues. There is no such thing as 100% success rate anywhere. Anybody who tries to tell you that there is selling something to you. Okay? That's why there's different types of treatment programs. Because the issues that we face, though we share a diagnosis, are completely different from one another. Even such normal things as sensory issues are not the same. I do not do well with at least a low-level amount of background noise. Other autistics have difficulty being able to pay attention to something like watching a documentary, what have you, or to a conversation if there's other noise going on in the room. So, that's why we have different types of treatment programs to address those issues. So that by means of the full functional behavioral assessment and the results and information we obtain from it, we can make the best type of educated decision in regards to what type of overall treatment program is going to work the best for the consumer. Right? Yeah, it really is that simple. So, the FDA went over and compared evidence to evidence. It was shown that there are other alternative treatments that do not use physical aversive therapy and have been successful in treating self-injurious and aggressive behaviors. So, they got the example of what is the alternative. They know with cold hard evidence just exactly what type of risk of illness or injury that device is capable of. It is a medical device, so even though it's not being used commercially, the FDA still has the authority to ban the device. And as usual, the JRC's taking a little piece out of another lawsuit, banking on the fact that other people are not going to research what crap they spew out of their mouths and then obtain the entirety of the context and figure out that in actual reality they're full of shit. What else is new, right? Sun Tzu would not be a fan of these people. What has he always said? Never underestimate your enemy. And the JRC has underestimated us at every single turn. And in spite of that, they continue to this day to be humiliated because of it. We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please, folks, don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you a little later. Bye-bye, everyone.